I'm happy to announce that the Fortune Next ERP and the FX1 cloud platform have been integrated with Amadeus GMS, Amadeus Demand 360, and the iHotelier CRS. The certifications are underway and expected to be released by approximately the end of this month. I would now like to introduce you to our speakers for today. Jeff Stone is the Vice President of Amadeus Hospitality, the international division based out of Barcelona in Spain. Jeff has been a key part of the TravelClick and Amadeus Hospitality teams since 2003. He works with strategic hotel partners on central reservations and guest management solutions across EMEA and Latin America. Jeff works with the Amadeus Hospitality product development teams as they build more innovation in their systems and to ensure that hotel business development needs are met, which drive revenue growth. Joy Ghosh is the Regional Vice President of Amadeus Hospitality for India and subcontinent region. Joy looks after the strategic interests of Amadeus Hospitality in the region and has a strong customer base in hotel distribution, business intelligence, CRM, and digital marketing. Before joining Amadeus Hospitality, he was a hotelier in India covering sales and marketing, distribution, and revenue management in various hotel groups like Hyatt, Accor, Leela, and Oberoi Hotels and Resorts. Joy has 2 decades of experience and started his career with a Japanese multinational in international trading after completing his hotel school from India. He completed an advanced management program from the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. Jeff and Joy, welcome to this webinar. I would now request Joy to begin his presentation. Over to you, Joy.
Thank you, Jacob. So let me begin by saying a few words about who we are. Amadeus is a technology company dedicated to the world's travel industry. We offer cutting-edge technology solutions that help key players in the travel industry to run their businesses, to succeed in their businesses, and shape the future of travel moving forward. And we do it on a truly global scale. And I will give some examples from 2019 because, as we know, in 2020, the world went upside down. In 2019, Amadeus processed more than 646 million bookings. 1.9 billion passengers have boarded a plane thanks to an Amadeus system. We are about 19,000 employees around the globe. Amadeus is a part of Eurostoxx 50 since 2018. And in 2019, Forbes magazine recognized us as one of the world's top 10 software companies. As you can see here, we serve every part of the global travel ecosystem. Amadeus customers includes travel agencies, OTAs, TMCs or travel management companies, airlines, airports, ground handlers, hospitality businesses, railway and car rental companies, tour operators, insurance providers, ferry and cruise lines, and other businesses involved in global travel. Next slide, please. Just a little bit about our history. Amadeus was formed in 1987 by our 4 founding airlines, Air France, Iberia, Lufthansa, and SAS. From our airline distribution origins, we gradually expanded our capabilities to serve customers across the entire travel industry. Fast forward 3 decades, Amadeus has become one of the world's largest technology providers for travel and tourism. Over the years and since the year 2000, we have broadened our scope by launching our airline, airport, and hotel IT businesses. In hospitality, it all accelerated with partnership with Intercontinental Hotels Group in 2014 for a large-scale CRS replacement project, which has now been fully deployed. The acquisition of Newmarket International, known for their famous Delphi product, in 2014. And finally, the acquisition of TravelClick in 2018. With all this, Amadeus is a strong commitment to the hospitality industry, broadening our product portfolio, know-how, and global presence. Our strong results also allow us to remain one of the world's leading investors in research and development. Between 2004 to 2018, Amadeus has already invested more than 7.5 billion euro in research and development and has consistently been named a leader by the European Union on R&D. That investment supports work on cloud systems, high security, real-time analytics, on massive data sets, mobile solutions, and so forth. All of this is made possible by our robust global operations. As we speak, Amadeus is operating the world's largest data center dedicated to travel that is high performing and highly resilient, capable of processing billions of transactions per day. And these global day-to-day operations are supported by more than 900 technical specialists around the globe in a follow the sun model. With that introduction of who we are and what we do, we will move on to see what's happening in the subcontinent and closer home. What kind of numbers are we seeing in airlines and hotel occupancies? So if you see here, we have taken from all the way from 5th of January down below to 7th of March 2021. In short, in this slide, hotel business is 33% if we compared to pre-COVID. And airline business is 37% versus pre-COVID. That is a little bit different to what the rest of the world is experiencing, where hotel demand is stronger than airline demand. For example, if we take the whole world example, hotel is 33% against airline of 25%. And in North America, a hotel is 38% versus airline is 37%. However, we have to understand that our borders continue to remain closed, and no sooner our border opens, the trends that we are seeing, hotel will definitely overtake airline trends in comparison to pre-COVID. Now, this is cancellation ratio for all of India, and all this data is coming from GDS booking, both airline and hotel cancellation, as well as TravelClick's proprietary data set called Demand 360. So you can see in between April and May, we hit the maximum cancellation in airline as well as hotel. However, that has steadily come down, and we are seeing that it is stabilizing as we are coming out of the peak periods of pandemic. And therefore, this will be an important factor when we see cancellation against occupancies of hotels. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is a busy slide, but a very interesting slide where we can see how the forward-looking demand is, and the red curve is India compared to various other markets in the world. And this is a comparison between 2019, 2020 to 2020, 2021. And we can see that clearly the dip was in March, April of 2020, and you can see how steadily that has gone up. And going forward, the demand for the Indian occupancy, we see that it is only picking up. That the one that you are seeing between April to December is really not a yardstick, because we will see in subsequent slides, and I'm pretty sure as hoteliers you are seeing all the demand is last minute, and we are going to see that what kind of trends we are seeing. But if you compare the worldwide trends, India is definitely ahead of the worldwide trend in terms of occupancy for forward-looking data. Okay, so here we are, and you can see that we have shown March all the way till December of 2021. And I will take March as an example. We are showing for whole of India about 34% occupancy. And you can see that as of February 12th, we had only about 10% or below 10% occupancy. And as we progress, this data is as of March 12th, about a week's old data, how business has picked up last minute. So there is business on the books picking up between April to December. But if we compare this with 2019, this is hardly anywhere when you are building books. I guess that most hotels in India will enter the month with business on the books anywhere between 30 to 50%. At the best case scenario, it is currently anywhere between 8 to 10%. Now that's the trend, and that's the pattern that we have to keep in mind when preparing strategies against booking windows. The same thing, lead time, and you can see that if I compare with the pandemic period and current period, which is compared with last year, it is getting better and better. For example, on the day of the booking, which is day 0, most hotels are getting 44% occupancy. So it's really very, very instant. So there is not too much that hotels can plan well ahead of time as it used to be the case in good old times. Therefore, what are the marketing strategies? What are the sales strategies one should adopt in short booking windows is the crux of the matter that we need to think about. Okay, so, and this is the last one broken down by, on the left-hand side, the market segments, and on the right-hand side, the channels. Percentages are sometimes misnomer because, for example, there is hardly any GDS bookings, but out of the GDS bookings, for example, whatever is coming, almost everything, regardless of channel, is coming, or regardless of segment, is coming between the 0 to 7 days. Be it a negotiated rate, be it a retail rate, be it a group rate, everything is last minute. And that's what is compounding the challenge for operation, sales, marketing, revenue distribution. And these strategies that we need to adopt are completely different than what we used to do in the past. Right, so this is an interesting one as I was looking at it. So this is at the full year of 2020, Jan to December compared with, Jan to March compared with Jan to March of 2021. Now, if you remember, Jan to March of 2020 was not so severely hit by pandemic. So this is almost a like for like comparison. And you can see that there is a lot of channel shift even in this kind of scenario. So for example, group is reducing, discounts are growing. Retail business has grown from 18% to 28%. Negotiated business has become to 10% from 26% last year. If you superimpose the average rates by segment on top of this kind of graph, it will tell you where you are picking up or where you are dropping, mostly dropping. And therefore, which segment will be more profitable, even in the short run, to drive occupancy or drive rates. Right, so this is also the same thing between Jan to March of last year and Jan to March of this year. You can see the huge reliance on direct business to the hotel, which means that people are picking up their bags and scraping the earth to get every last piece of room night that is available. Now, what is interesting and probably sad is that last year, same time, OTAs had 16% share of the pie. And this year, in whatever little business is there, OTAs have become 25%. And in the same time, in the same pie, brand.com has remained at the same level of 9%. GDS business, of course, have disappeared, and because there is hardly any GDS transactions happening, they are all corporate business mostly. It has dropped from 12% to 2%. And unless our borders open, we do not foresee that the GDS channel will grow substantially between last year to this year. So we can only hope and pray that the situation betters from there, as we are seeing the infection numbers rising. Unless that comes down, I do not think that our borders will open anytime soon. Right, so this is the last slide probably on India. And we have kind of shown you that what's happening in leisure markets, which is represented by Goa, against all the other markets, which are primarily corporate markets. And everybody, the data pretty much varies between mid-20s to mid-30s. Whereas Goa, we all know that everybody just wants to travel and be on a holiday. And we foresee that in the full month of summer also, the same pattern will get repeated. So, which means that there is probably some sense, or there is probably some merit in taking up staycations, etc., in business hotels during the weekend, if anything of that pent-up demand or people's need to travel or urge to travel can be encashed. That is only the leisure segment that is playing out. Right, so this is a little bit of Sri Lanka as to what's happening there. And both segment and channel, they have just opened their borders, and we can see that there's huge reliance on direct business, almost 92%, and most of the rates are being discounted. So we are keeping our eyes on this market because there is still no travel bubble between India and Sri Lanka. India actually contributes to a large percentage of the numbers in tourism in Sri Lanka, and so is China. But unless those bubbles can be formed and that can be executed, though their borders are open, we don't see that these numbers will drastically pick up. And you can see what's March, what's April on the books, what's May on the books. So that's a state of the union in Sri Lanka as far as tourism is concerned, as far as hospitality business is concerned. Next, we will see Maldives, which has been open for quite some time. And again, everything is last minute. We have seen a lot of good press about everyone who's someone in Bollywood holidaying and partying in Maldives. And may the good times continue. But if you look at the channel, here, the most interesting thing is that look at the brand.com and the OTA. Now, the hotels, especially the top-end ones, they realized what the power of the brand is and what they can do. And if every pandemic gives us a lesson, I think the Maldivian market took that lesson very seriously and they executed on it. And you can see the numbers as they are panning out. And this is something for every market to learn, that how this can be capitalized. So while we have seen stuff as a general trend throughout the world, hotel bookings are leading airline bookings, and leisure accommodation is definitely the word of the day. Booking lead times are almost 0 to 2 days. People want to book the same day and travel. And travelers are booking more on OTAs and direct channels. And that is actually the characteristic of leisure travelers. Everyone's looking for a deal. Everyone's looking for a last minute deal. So therefore, these are the things to be kept in mind while making sales and marketing strategies. As we move forward, it is more interesting to know that these are numbers on a very, very high level. But what really needs to be considered is how is your hotel participating, or how is your hotel behaving in your immediate competitive set, and not the market, not the region, not the country, but our business is almost on a day-to-day. And what are we doing in terms of capitalizing that when we look at data? So what's the value of that data? First and foremost, that looking at historical data is absolutely something that has to be thrown out, because you cannot compare what you did same time last year or same week last year. Almost all the data has to be forward-looking. And the challenge that hoteliers face is that there are various kinds of data in various buckets and various kinds of channels the data comes to. So how do you assimilate all that data and look at in one dashboard which will make sense and which is actionable? And most importantly, how easy is that data to be used at the hotel level? Can the director of sales and marketing or the MICE director look at a specific date in May or June and look at what the competitive activity is and take a decision, an informed decision of whether he needs to increase his rate or lower his rate or not bid for the business at all? Or how about tomorrow? Are we doing something that is different to that of the competition, or we are just following the competition? So let's take a look as to what we can offer in terms of data and reporting, and which people are using. So at the heart of any of our strategy is what kind of intelligence we are providing. And you can see that we have got a rate shopping tool, which is called Revenue Strategy. We have got Demand 360, which is data from the PMS or the CRS, as the case may be. And I'm going to talk a little bit about each of these as we move forward. We have GDS Intelligence in Agency 360, and the wild card in the pack is the alternative accommodation, which is fighting with hotels now. As the situation unfolds, hotels are seeing themselves that they're fighting with the Airbnbs and other kinds of alternative accommodation providers. So let's look at each of these in a little bit more detail. Now we have Demand 360. which actually looks at channels and segments for your property, obviously historical, but as well as forward-looking, to create strategies and evaluate progress if you have done something, whether that is paying or not, and optimize for the future. As we saw that it is all last minute. So if you have taken some decisions 2 days back, whether that is paying or not, if the needle is not moving, then we know that something different that needs to be done. And that's how, when you start analyzing your pickup and demand and which segment is underperforming, and most importantly, what's your competitive set's business mix. And all these will help you to maximize your revenue and profitability. And as you analyze your pickup and real business on the books, you make smarter decisions. And this optimizes your pricing and marketing strategies to basically steal business or shift share from the competition. So the first thing to keep in mind is not historical data. Of course, that is important, but what's getting more and more important is to use forward-looking data and both of what's on the books and what's the market compression to craft and execute your transient or group strategies with ease and insight. Now, Agency 360, as we prepare for our borders to be opened, this is probably the hallmark or the understone of how your corporate negotiated business is going to perform. And as we know that for large corporations, substantial chunk of their businesses will come from the GDS channel. So you need to have some forward-looking insight into the average rate and profitability to make better pricing decisions on the GDS. And also, Agency 360 is probably the only comprehensive database for all historical and future GDS bookings in your comparative set. So you understand your effectiveness on the GDS and you optimize your strategy to strengthen your relationships with the agents booking into your comparative set. And again, the strategy is the same. How do you move business from your competition? The last on this, on our business intelligence tools, is Revenue Strategy 360. And this is probably the Bible for any sales or revenue manager to justify your pricing strategy with always up-to-date sanctioned shopping rate data so that you can identify market compression and opportunities to maximize your ADR on public rates. And also, if you look ahead, how do you monitor your competitors' performance for past, present, and forward-looking dates to ensure that your rates are always competitive? And this is integrated with Demand 360, and you can look beyond rates to see holistic view of future rates and future occupancy side by side. What happens most of the times that we only see the rate and forget to look at the comparative occupancy, and therefore we are taking decisions in isolation. But with this integration with Demand 360, we have taken that guesswork out of the picture. So it's more precise and we know what's going to shift business from our competition. Now, when you look at all this kind of data in one dashboard, because all our tools are related to one another, so it's going to be basically one dashboard giving out actionable data. The next thing is to how do you drive demand? Because whether it is good times or bad times, what keeps people awake at night or in sales and marketing or revenue is how to drive demand in a manner which is different to that of the competitive set and which is increasing our incremental rate and profitability. So in order to take a deeper look at it, I would invite my colleague, Jeff Stone, who has been doing this for more than 2 decades, to tell us a little bit more about how to drive demand and customer loyalty. Over to you, Jeff.
Okay, great. Thanks, Joy. It's a real pleasure to be here today, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to share some of these different insights. I think as an industry, I think all of us are quite holding with bated breath this next step in recovery and coming out of the current situation. And so, as we've just looked at not only the trends and data that are showing obviously a very unique and I think an unprecedented sort of panorama as far as guest pickup and how the market is shaping up, but also just I think the overall state of the hospitality industry. I think that we are all looking for those different ways to be able to really start engaging more with our guests and trying to drive there we go. Trying to hit the hot buttons of guests that are really looking for, I think, unique experiences that are also in line with, I think, some of our guest mindsets. There are, as Joy mentioned, there's a lot of short-term pickup. There's a lot of last-minute business. There's a different mindset around what the guest is looking for when they're looking to get out of the house, when they're looking to just to do a staycation potentially. And so one of the things that I work with Joy on every day, and with our different teams around EMEA, LATAM, obviously in India and subcontinent, is really providing the tools in order to meet those needs. And so when we look at an e-commerce solution that can really hit those different points, there's 4 different areas that I'd like to highlight on. One is, I think that Amadeus offers a unique and end-to-end experience, really being able to address a guest from the moment that they're inspired all the way to the searching and shop and convert part of the experience, really making it a smooth and intuitive journey from the moment that they're engaged, whether it's on any kind of device. Ensuring that we have the right partnerships and as well as connectivities and integrations to help our hotels succeed, especially in a very how can I say, volatile environment, and one that requires a lot of flexibility and nimbleness that we've never seen before. And then lastly, around centralized content, making sure that the content is fast and as easy as possible, that can be utilized by your teams to make I would say a very fluid management of rates, rooms, inventory, and also guest profiles. So when you look at where a huge part of the investment and deliverables around our solution, it's really around the CRS, CRM, and website. There's a number of different things that we do here at Amadeus Hospitality, but I think one of the areas that we've seen the most traction, and I think the most I would say return for our hotel partners, is around specifically this single approach to really website development, to integrated CRM and CRS with that website, to obviously deliver a much stronger experience to your guests. So when we look across these different areas, we're constantly working with one single team. I'm on the phone every single day with our web team, with our GMS team and iHotelier, and it is literally a single approach. We're looking for different ways and touch points to leverage the technology that we have to deliver I would say, a much more seamless and personalized guest journey. So Looking at our e-commerce suite, it really, there's 4 areas we'd like to focus on, and that's really around when the journey begins, as the guest begins to shop, regardless of the channel or starting point. We want to deliver the right price points, the right offerings, whether it's packages or room rates, to a guest, making sure that the website, making it really device neutral, with a mobile first approach, but making it device neutral for end users. Offering up the right kind of personalized offers and delivering a frictionless booking, so that the guest really has to, I would say, do the least amount of work possible to get the right result, both for the guest as well as the hotel. One of the things that we've focused on quite a bit in the last, I would say, 3 to 4 years is a deep integration with our CRM as well as with loyalty. It's an area that hotels, from individual standalone hotels to large groups, have said it's one of their ways that they're able to really not only hone in on the guest and what they're looking for, but also for them to be able to differentiate themselves from the OTAs. We just saw a few minutes ago the statistics from that Joy showed on the screen, how the OTAs in such a short amount of time have already taken back a huge amount of ground that hotels made up in the last few years, I would say. And we're seeing that hotels are looking for ways to really, I would say, combat that reliance upon OTAs. Obviously, there's a huge amount of cost as far as the margins that go with that, but we've got a very solid solution across these 3 different platforms to help our hotels achieve those goals. When we talk about custom add-ons, we're looking at different ways to, again, differentiate the hotel from the OTAs, to make sure that they're different outlets, whether it is food and beverage, spa, it could be a number of different areas that the hotel is looking to sell, that it sometimes are challenging to get into the booking process, but really targeting in on who the guest is, what their interests are, what their past stay and spend patterns are. This is one of the things that that we've got some very strong functionality to help do that. Checking out with personalized enhancements, and then loyalty and upsell, really focusing on what the guest potentially do to with some of our algorithms as well as spend patterns, what we're able to upsell to a guest based on who they are. So as we look at these different, at that top of the funnel, basically, when we're talking about the journey beginning, it's important to have a very balanced approach to distribution and offerings to your guests. If you've got the right price point and if you've got the right offering out on brand.com, but also on GDS, as Joy mentioned, right now, obviously GDS is a low producer just due to the market conditions, but it will bounce back. But guests, we know that they do shop across multiple channels, on a very regular basis. And so whether they're shopping on brand.com, GDS, MetaSearch, or even going through a consortia or via the OTAs or bed banks, making sure that there's a very compelling and, I would say, balanced approach to revenue management on these different channels is something that we do every single day. And so Amadeus Hospitality has obviously a number of different relationships, be it with the OTAs, with its obviously being one of the GDSs, with 14 of the major MetaSearch sites. We can offer a very, very diverse as well as robust distribution for hotels. When speaking about the website, you'll notice up here we've gone from where the journey begins into the experiential website, and you'll notice that the website itself has to be that gateway to the hotel. It has to be the way, really, that intro into the lobby, into virtually almost any aspect of the hotel, where the guest is compelled, where there's an experiential, how can I say, tie to the guest that will lead them down the path of conversion. So whether it's design, videography, which we incorporate into many of our hotels, we actually have built over 4,000 hotel websites globally. So there's a number of different ways that we're helping our hotels really entice and engage with their guests in this stage of the shopping experience. One of the things that we found over and over again with our hotels and hotel groups is that they're looking for ways to really interact on a personal level with their guests. And so, that's kind of a buzzword, a kind of a catchphrase these days for our hotels, but really being able to have the right message appear at the right time with the right offer. And so one of the things that we've, with our websites, this is just a small example of it, but basically the right messaging as a guest logs into their loyalty program, being able to recognize the fact that it's their birthday and that there's a free gift upon arrival, or for the next day, a certain percentage off of certain elements or the room stay. So again, these are different ways that we're really diving into a much more personalized experience through the website itself. As we move from really the website into a little bit more around the shopping part of the experience, one of the things that we've looked to do is to remove barriers to booking, and also reducing the bounce rates. It's giving those right cues, the right visual cues on screen that give the guest that amount of confidence that it's going to allow them to continue through the booking experience and get to that next stage, basically to finalize the booking. You'll notice here on screen we've got things like different cues like urgency messaging, the progress bar. There's a number of different things that we've incorporated in order to make sure the guests have that level of confidence to continue and to finalize their bookings. If you look here on the next screen, in 2020, our booking engine was actually named Best Hotel and Lodging Interactive Application by the Web Marketing Association. So, and this has been for the last 4 years. Our booking engine continues to trend very, very well, and making sure that guests have the right information, but also has very strong integration with our CRM. Our loyalty, as well as just guest profiles, offer a number of different ways to really personalize what the guest is going to see as an offering for both rooms, rates, packages, as well as ancillary sales. Something that we've just released actually is an add-on to what I was just referring to. We call it our audience builder. And this is something that allows you to build subcategories or subsegments of guests and based on their profiles. So if I want to really focus on my guests who have the highest RFM, which is recency, frequency, and monetary score, along with guests who are booking for the month of April, I can do that and really create these separate buckets or categories of guests to deliver very personalized offerings, not only on rooms and rates, but also for ancillaries. So if I know that I have guests who have stayed with me 10 times, and I know that they stay in the summer, and I know that they're typically booking for families, then I can offer certain ancillary items at a discounted rate or free of charge to try and entice them to book. That is something the OTAs cannot do. It's something that third-party channels can't do, and it's a way to help drive not only additional revenue, but it's ancillary revenue to hotels that has always been a bit of a challenge. And I think really we're almost turning this on its head, where we're able to create an additional revenue stream for hotels online, but also differentiate themselves from an OTA experience. So as we move into some of the different e-commerce options we have here, these are a few more examples, I would say case in point of how you can leverage the different I would say personalization as well as pricing offerings that we've got. When we're talking about, again, with family travel, loyalty signups, different packages based on where the guest is coming from, or even, again, your highest value customers, our system together, website with iHotelier, with GMS, allows you to really deliver a direct and personalized experience to your guests, and especially those guests that have the highest propensity to convert, as well as their highest spend levels. When we talk about some of the additional functionality with that combined offering with GMS, which is our own CRM, we offer a number of different things like upsells, cart abandonment, when we're talking about really going after that extra revenue that's sitting out there with guests, whether it is additional spend on the room or the overall ancillary items. There are a number of ways to do basically post-checkout, post-confirmation, additional upsell to those guests. And that's available on a number of different ways, whether it's through emails, whether it's on screen advertising to the guest. But these are just a few examples you can see here on screen. When we talk about a cart abandonment, again, this is a direct integration between iHotelier and GMS, really being able to allow guests to pick up where they left off, especially looking at those guests right now when they are booking very last minute. As Joy showed on screen, obviously the trends that we see in Goa, I think reflect where guests they're looking for leisure travel, they're looking for last minute travel. Having the right tools to be able to really make sure that the guest is, that you're not going to force them to come back into the entire booking funnel and start all over again, and making sure that you have the right price points at the right time is something you can count on with this combined solution. For hotels that are hotels and especially hotel groups that are looking for a robust and complete loyalty program, we offer a loyalty program with complete guest profile and preference updates, as well as configuration for the guests here seen on the left-hand side, as well as a full redeem and reward and redeem loyalty points basis, so that guests can do partial redemptions as well as full redemptions with points from our loyalty program. So again, it's something that we feel very strongly has a, it can differentiate a hotel group's offering from so many other third-party channels that guests are bombarded with these days. And then just around our connectivity with the different solutions that are out there today, when we talk about having a very strong partner that can deliver the right connections to all the GDS as well as consortia programs, meta programs. The top 4 meta search sites that we know and obviously work with today are TripAdvisor, Trivago, Kayak, and Google, but we have 10 other sites that we work with that are a bit more residual, but do give far-reaching and I would say long-tail results for our hotels. And then over here on the right-hand side, we've got some of the third-party distributors that we work with for onward distribution into some other different regional sites like IWTX, working with us in the Middle East, but gives us some reach into the GCC, for example. One thing I wanted to mention with our meta search sites right here is that we have just launched our members rates or our loyalty rates into Kayak and Google. So actually hotels that are using our private offers functionality for non-loyalty, or if they're using a full-blown loyalty, can actually show members rates or show strike-through pricing on the meta search sites directly. So again, that's something we've just released. We're really excited about it, and we think again it's going to help our hotels compete for every last potential guest that they could be getting in the meta search environment. So when we talk about the entire team, Joy mentioned this earlier. Obviously, we've got a very strong team that supports the 3 solutions we were just talking about. Amadeus is a global company, and it's something that we have seen a huge amount of integration and development opportunities across these 3 different solutions, and the future is looking very, very bright for us to be able to, I think, continue to look for personalized and a high converting, high value, guest experiences with our hotel partners. 2021 and beyond, where's our focus? It's going to be on increased personalization. We know it's how it's going to help our hotels stand out. Integrated shopping experience, really making sure that it's a single experience. The guest doesn't feel like they're jumping from one website to another. And then, really being able to manage and look at all of the different analytics points that hotels are dealing with, whether it is website traffic, booking engine conversions, meta search, bounce rates, for example. All of that, looking at one single dashboard, is where we're going to be going. So just to summarize again, If you look at the 4 different points here, we've got a solution that is integrated, that works very, very seamlessly, and is being used at numerous hotel groups and hotels globally today. Joy, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Thanks, Jeff. I think it's important to mention that in our website, we have a lot of resources which will probably help you in planning for your recovery. So I encourage all of you to visit our website, Amadeus-hospitality.com. With that, we are almost out of time on this particular webinar. We have had a couple of questions come through, but they all require an in-depth answer. And I don't want to rush through all of them as we are running out of time. So we'll reach out to all those people who have asked questions directly, and we will answer them. With that being said, I will probably ask and hand over this to Jacob for last words and concluding the session. Over to you, Jacob.
Thank you very much, Joy, Jeff, for the wonderful insights and an interesting session. I especially thank all who have joined us today. You will get the presentation slide deck in your mailbox in a couple of days. A recording of this webinar will be available on our website as well, www.idsnext.com. We would like to hear from you. The feedback form will be sent over to you. And like Joy said, we are eager to hear all the questions you have. There is a special placeholder in the feedback form itself where you can ask your questions, and we'll make sure that you receive your answers. We will look forward to seeing all of you in the next webinar. Till then, thank you all. Thank you very much.